I'm Josh, I'm an investment researcher and a qualified actuary, and this is why your net worth skyrockets after you save 100k. So Charlie Munger, the late billionaire business partner of Warren Buffett, famously quipped, "First 100k is a bitch, but you gotta do it. I don't care what you have to do. If it means walking everywhere and not eating anything that wasn't purchased with a coupon, find a way to get your hands on 100k. After that, you can ease off the gas a little." So why is 100k the magic number? Here's 3 reasons why. Reason number 1 is that the compounding effect is much more visible and meaningful at this level. Now, we've all heard of the compounding effect and how important it is, but I doubt many of us have really taken advantage of it. The reason why you need to save 100k and why your wealth skyrockets after this 100k is because the compounding effect is so much more visible at this level, and it's so much more meaningful because the amount of interest you're getting each year relative to your fixed expenses, assuming you keep them quite low, is huge. Now, I'm sure we've all had the experience of having, a small amount of savings in our bank account and receiving a tiny portion of interest each year from the bank and thinking that it's just completely pointless. And it is on a relatively small amount of capital. But once you save your 100k, your interest on that amount can be extremely meaningful, particularly if you have a low salary or low current expenses. So for example, if you have 10k saved and you get a 6% interest rate, then at the end of the year, you can expect £600, which, assuming that you earn around 30k and you have living expenses that are probably around 2k a month, that's actually not that much. And you're probably not going to get excited about that. However, if you've got 100k saved, then 6% of that is £6,000, and that starts becoming much more meaningful, particularly when you start thinking about it as a second income. For example, if you're taxed at 40%, if you're getting 6k tax-free at the end of the year, which you could be doing if you've got 100k saved in ISA, then that 6k interest is completely tax-free, and that's about the equivalent of earning an extra 10k on your salary, which is extremely meaningful. Lots of people will push for an extra 10k on their salary, particularly when they're earning around 30 or 50k. Now that 6k becomes even more meaningful if you save that and then compound again on that 106k, because your interest in the future will be 6% of 106, which is about 6.4k. And if you do that for long enough, you'll really start to benefit from the compounding effect, and you'll see the compounding working, and the amounts will be meaningful to you relative to your current base. And because it's meaningful to you and because it's meaningful amounts, you're more likely to stick to it and see the benefit of it and have that positive feedback feeling around your interest, rather than the negative of, I'm only getting paid a couple of pennies from the bank, so I'm not going to bother saving this. The key is to focus on saving that initial amount, not worry about the interest initially, but once you've built up that capital base, you can then enjoy the interest you're getting on that. So why does your net worth explode after you've saved this amount? It's because you start to see the benefit, you enjoy it, and you just do more and more of it. And also, because of the compounding effect, the gains kind of run away with themselves, and you end up being able to save and get a lot more on your interest. And you've reached that critical velocity, and you've really kind of moved into that building wealth zone. The second reason your net worth skyrockets after you've saved 100k is because you've developed good financial habits through saving that 100k, which actually compound over time as well. So saving money is actually a skill, and you can get much better at it. And you see all these financial gurus out there on the internet and in books that are telling you the best ways to save. And I've definitely experienced this firsthand. Basically, when you start saving, you start looking at areas or places you can cut back. Some areas are super easy, but actually, as you do it for longer and longer, you realize that you can cut back in certain other places. You're spending money you really don't need to. It becomes fun, it becomes a skill, and you start to develop negotiation skills, and you can actually save more and more over time. So the process of building that 100k savings actually teaches you and drills extremely valuable financial habits that, if you maintain, will allow your net worth to skyrocket, because your savings rate will be increased over time, particularly if your earnings go up. You'll be able to maintain your lifestyle and be happy with that. The other interesting thing about bringing down your savings rate is you think that you're going to be at a massive loss versus to where you were. Like, you think that you need all this stuff, but actually, similar to losing weight, if you bring down your expectations over what you need gradually, you can get just as much enjoyment from simpler things in life. Almost like your dopamine levels would have been reset. Your baseline is set lower. You don't spend your whole time wishing that you had the other things that you miss. And then through this transition period, you start enjoying seeing the savings rack up in your account. The reason why getting to 100k is so good for drilling your financial habits is because the main way you get to 100k is through saving. If you're starting from a relatively low base, you're either going to have to wait a very long time to benefit from compound interest, or you're going to have to look for a really high investment return, which comes with added risk. So the main thing you can flex, and the most secure thing you can flex in that equation, is actually your savings rate. So to give you some examples here, if you save 1k a month at 6% interest, it'll take you nearly 7 years to earn 100k, and 82k of that is savings, while 18k of that is interest. So you can see that the majority is still coming from savings, because that is not a long period of time in terms of compounding. 7 years isn't that long. When we talk about compounding, we talk about the real gains coming in like 10, 20, 30 years down the line. But if you manage to find an extra £386 per month, you would get there 2 years sooner. So that would save you 2 years of your life. And that's with 86k savings, so not a material amount more saving, and with 12k interest. But think of the extra time that's bought you. So in your early days, the savings rate is the most powerful lever you can pull to increase your net worth. And in the future, you can really benefit from time and the savings rate, particularly if you can find better investments in the future that can yield you a higher return. And the third reason your wealth skyrockets after 100k is because your options dramatically change when you've saved 100k. So I think lots of people imagine when they have 100k in the bank and the things they can do, the holidays they can go on. But I think in practicality, if you want your net worth to skyrocket, you need to be thinking a bit differently. Just think about how you act if you have no money in your bank account. Let's say you even owe money, you're probably very stressed, you're having sleepless nights, you're reacting to things rather than planning for things, you're kind of firefighting all the time. Whereas if you build this 100k base, then you don't have any of those money worries. They've all been eliminated. And if anything, you're thinking strategically about how you can use this money to increase your net worth in the future, because increasing net worth is your goal, not spending it on things. So you may be more willing to take a risk on a career that is a bit risky, but they pay a lot. You might be more willing to start a business because you've got a few years runway in terms of living expenses. You may feel more secure in your current job and therefore happier and just more willing to kind of take risks and think, I'll find something else to do. These are options that start opening up to you once you've got that material cushion of savings and you're not kind of living on the breadline and reacting and stressed all the time. Also puts you in a better position to move forward. Like, lots of people don't think well when they're stressed. So this puts you in a prime opportunity to move forward and take advantage of more earning opportunities in the future. There we have it. That's why scale matters when it comes to your net worth, how your options change, why compounding is more meaningful when you have increased net worth, and also how getting to a high net worth really drills you in the habits you need to take yourself forward. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to hear more from me, don't forget to check out this one here. Thank you.